All right. So, Gabrielle, have you read The One Thing? Any chance?
The what?
The One Thing?
No.
No? Okay. So it's a book by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. And what they write about is how to structure your life to achieve your goals. So we're going to be talking about some of the principles from The One Thing, and you should read the book too if you're interested. It's actually referred to a lot within the Keller Williams culture. So it's a good one to read. Add to your reading list.
I will.
Yeah. All right. Let me see. Can I close this one side here? You see this thing on the right side too, right?
Yeah.
Slide only. Nope. Whatever. Just do that. Okay. So, the next slide here. All right, so what successful agents do every day. There are two sets of tasks, growing your business and running your business. So under growing your business, we lead generate for buyers and sellers. We make seller listing presentations and get listings. We make buyer presentations and get listings, and we preview real estate. And running your business, you're marketing your seller listings, showing buyer homes, negotiating contracts, transaction management to closing, vendor management, set goals, compliance or risk management, attend training and get coaching, and manage money. Right? So these are the tasks of successful agents every day. And what we'll focus on today is on the growing side of your business, lead generation for buyers and sellers. And in running your business, you set goals and attend training and get coaching. So here is that roadmap for agents. And one quote from The One Thing is, who we are and where we want to go determine what we do and what we accomplish. Right? So why is it important to set goals?
So that you have a clear path on what you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you have a clear path and you know where you're going, right?
Yeah.
Right? So it's important to set goals because the opposite of this quote is also true. What you do and what you accomplish determine who you are and where you go. If your activities don't have a guiding goal, you'll likely be very busy and not have a lot to show for it. So the mission of Keller Williams is to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving. None of those just happen. Setting goals that matter means doing work that matters. When our work matters, we tend to do more of it and we do it well. So this next graph shows what the actions are and how they relate to thinking, time, and effort. So part of achieving your goals is very hard. I think we can all agree that if you don't put in the time and effort, you won't get very far. So looking at this graph, what else is important to setting and meeting goals?
Doing it?
Yeah, doing them, definitely. But also the more time and effort and the more thinking that goes into it, having those power your actions gives you bigger outcomes, right? So if you're not thinking too much about what your actions are, but you're putting a lot of time and effort, you may have outcomes, but they may be smaller outcomes. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, great. Awesome. So let's look at this next graph. So the question we need to ask is, how big is your box? If you're not thinking big, you're creating an artificial ceiling of achievement. There are only so many hours in the day, and there's only so much one person can do with those hours. Is there a time you can think of that you limited yourself and your business by thinking small that you'd like to share?
I don't think so.
Okay. So this has become a one-on-one class, I guess.
Yeah, sorry. I can't think of anything right now.
No, it's okay. Thanks for answering my questions. Okay, so the thing is, many new agents limit themselves right away. Maybe they don't call their sphere and just hope business will come their way. And maybe they aren't systematic about lead generation, or maybe they refuse to learn scripts that would make their job easier. Most of those agents don't stay in the business because they treat it as a business. Don't stay in the business because they treat it as a business, or they burn out because they aren't seeing a good return for their time and effort. So, throughout the years, I've definitely seen people come and go. And the thing is, you do want to be particular about what it is that you're spending all your time on, because there are so many things that we can work on that won't really give us those big outcomes. But at the same time, if you're doing something, dedicating yourself to really be consistent in those actions definitely creates that big outcome. So one thing that I can share that would be a good example of this is that, when I started, a lot of my business was, a lot of what I spent my time on was networking. And, quite honestly, there weren't huge outcomes that came from that right away. It definitely was laying that foundation. And I don't know that I necessarily, I didn't necessarily know to what degree all that work would come out to. But especially over the past couple of years, I've really noticed that, random people who I met early on, who became part of my database and, became part of my network within social media, like they've surfaced even now, all these years later, because, obviously when I was meeting them before, maybe they didn't have that need, or didn't necessarily know people at that point in their lives who needed to sell or buy. But as time progresses and people see that you're still in the industry and doing well, you should be top of mind when they have that need. So all those networking engagements that I really did not want to attend back then, they're paying off now, and it did take a lot of time and effort, and probably did make me burn out a little bit, quite honestly. They're paying off now. So you just have to be really thinking about why you're doing these things. And at that time I thought, okay, well, the more people I know, the better off I should be. Like, I had no guarantee of that, but this is a people business, so the relationships are the most important thing. All right, okay, so let's see my big life. That's the next slide. All right. You can see this. Why does it look like this? Screw you when I move to this platform as well. Okay. All right. So my big life. So envision your big life. Once you have, take a moment to really think about what this big life would be. Once you have that vision in place, then you can set meaningful goals that will bring you closer to that life. Once you have the goals, we can talk about how to reach them. It all really stems from your vision. So On each of the 5 rectangles, write a person or cause that you care about. So we have, this example is Austin Pets Alive. So this is, a cause that this person cares about. If there's a cause that you care about, that could be something that's in your rectangle here. People in your lives, are they someone who, you would want to set a big life for? And then in this example, mom and dad pay off mortgage, $18,000. Right, so the idea is, filling these rectangles with people and causes that you care about will help you fund your big life and create some deeper meaning for why you're doing the things that that are required of you each day. And then in the center circle, quantify what this big life requires financially. How much would these things cost? Some parts of your big life will require time as well as money. So remember that as business owners, you'll need to budget time in terms of money as well, right? What would you need to be able to spend more time doing the things that you love? And these rectangles represent your big life, and the center circle is your goal, what you need in order to fund this big life. Okay. Any thoughts of things that you want to share from this? Anything come to mind that you want to share?
I think that I just need to make this in my spare time.
Spare time? Yeah. If you want some time to work on it, just let me know.
It's okay. I'll just let you go through and do it
Okay.
after.
Yeah, but I do encourage that you really take the time to think about this, because without your big why, without taking to recenter yourself, it's
right.
Figure it out.
Yeah, sure. It's nice to have a clear path to your goals and what you want.
Exactly. All right, great. Okay, so understand your goal. So where does it all go? So the first thing you need to understand is how your commission works. So many new agents get the check for their first closing, pocket it all because it's exciting to have that amount of money, and they get in trouble down the line. So let's talk about where the money goes and how much will actually be going to your goal. These numbers are very general and are only meant to be an example, because the actual amounts will vary, especially if you're on a team and given whatever your income tax bracket is, right? So here. Okay, so first, if you're on the seller side of the transaction, half of the commission goes to the buyer's agent. And the same is true if you're a buyer's agent paying a 50% split to the seller's agent, for example. Okay, so here's an example of that. So obviously these are not numbers that are specific to here, but with an average sales price, say in Austin of $300,000, you can expect that $9,000 would be your average gross commission income. All right. And then going to the next slide. So once you have your half, about a third goes to the market center to cover your company dollar, franchise royalty, and fees. Okay, so market center, company dollar, you would have your gross commission income, multiply that by what our market center would be, whatever your split is, and then you're capped at, I don't remember what our cap is off the top of my head. And then you have a franchise royalty too, and that's 6% of your GCI. And then you're capped at 3,000. So once you contribute 3,000 in the anniversary year, then you're done, right? And then this is an example of what that amounts to, a $30,000 amount in this example. And then you'll look at your transaction goals. So after you pay the market center, roughly another third goes back into your business. This covers marketing, operating expenses, signs, your car, your phone, and anything else you need to conduct and grow your business. Okay. Finally, you get your share. with the caveat, your take home includes your taxes, but so you'll want to put away money for your taxes religiously. You don't want to have a year's worth of work wiped out because you failed to plan. Right, so that's a huge thing that tends to happen with new agents in the market, especially if you're not part of Keller Williams, where we're teaching these things before, that you really do need to set aside money for your taxes. It's easy to get to the end of the year and realize that you owe a bunch of income taxes that you haven't planned for, because a lot of people come from W-2 jobs where the taxes were getting taken out of their paychecks before the check came to them. But it's different when you're an independent contractor. You're responsible for paying your own taxes, and you'll want to pay estimated taxes quarterly too. That's a good way to budget for all of that. Mm-hmm. So, and in Command, you can actually set your goals here, and they make it easy for you to just fill out these little sections within Command, and then it'll help you calculate, what you need to plan for, given an annual profit goal of X. Like if you want to make 100,000, that's your annual profit. It'll tell you how much your monthly profit goal would be, how much you should dedicate to listings, what percentage to dedicate to buyers, what your average commission is. You input things in this field, and then it'll calculate it for you in this nice little graphic. And it'll help you keep track of it within Command too. Okay, so do the right activities. So if you got confused by all of this, seriously, if you just go into Command and fill out this goal setting thing, it'll make it a lot easier. You don't have to do so much of the mental math there. Right, the 80-20 principle. Have you heard of the 80-20 principle?
Yeah.
You have? Good. Brandon, have you heard of the 80-20 principle?
Depending on what it means, I'll see if I've heard of it.
Okay, all right. Well, in the 1940s, quality control manager Dr. Joseph M. Juran documented a life-changing universal principle that he called the vital few and trivial many. So the idea was that a relatively small percentage of your efforts lead to the vast majority of your results. He attributed some of his findings to the statistical work of the Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto, who had observed that 80% of the wealth in his country was owned by 20% of the population. As fate would have it, that broadly embraced principle came to be known as, not as Juran's law, but as Pareto's principle. These days, we simply call it the 80-20 principle. The idea that 20% of your actions lead to 80% of your results may be one of the most powerful principles you can apply to your life. It's about getting the most from your time and effort. It's about maximizing your results. It's about having focus. So what do we mean by big rocks? Have you heard the term big rocks before?
No.
No? Okay. Well, so let's say that your day is a jar. If you put big rocks in first, so if your day is a jar, okay, I see. So if your day is a jar, you want to put in your big rocks first. The reason why is if you put your little rocks like sand, gravel, etc. in first, you won't have room for the big rocks. And your big rocks are, in this analogy, the most important activities of your day, those which cannot be skipped. Your little rocks are distractions or smaller tasks that may need to be done, but aren't going to get you materially closer to your goal. So, looking at this 80-20 principle, again, we're saying 20% of our effort gives us 80% of the rocks, 80% of the results. So you'll want to focus your energy on these big rocks that will give you the most results, right? Make more money and time with family and be more organized. So if you focus on the 20% that will give you 80% of the results, this will free up your time for your family. So what
I jumped in a little late. Did we go over what the big rocks were?
we just did. These big rocks are what I just said, that these are like the most important things for the day. The most
No, I'm saying, like, do you actually have like examples of what is the most important thing for the day for
That's
like getting started?
getting into now. This is this portion of this.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Yeah, of course. All right. So next slide. So what is the one thing you can do right now that would make everything else easier or unnecessary? This is one of the major quotes in The One Thing book that Gary Keller and Jay Papasan wrote. You'll hear it over and over again within Keller Williams. So the idea is like, there's one thing that we all know we should be doing that will make everything else easier or unnecessary. And this one thing would be a big rock, right? So another way to identify your 20% is to ask this question that's central to the one thing. Okay, so this is going to answer your question, Brandon. Okay, so what successful agents do every day? So in growing your business, we're going to lead generate for buyers and sellers, because honestly, you could do all these things, all these other little things. You could be creating marketing materials. You could be looking at real estate. You could be developing your vendor relationships. But if you don't have clients to work with, that's not going to get you very far, right? So one example of a big rock would be lead generating for buyers and sellers. So here's the slide of activities we see every day. We know this is how successful agents spend their time and how you'll spend your time. Remember, everything on this list will have to be done. We're trying to identify what our 20% is. Which action will get us the most and best results so that we can do everything else.
So do you think sort of like going on brokers' caravans and showing it on your social medias, different places that you're seeing, and like networking is kind of the biggest thing for us to be doing right now?
Yeah, I would say so, because that all is geared towards your big thing. Your big one thing is to lead generate for buyers and sellers, right? So one way to do that is to show people that you're in the business,
Right.
business, yeah. So previewing properties in brokers caravan and showing that to your network on social media. That's one way to lead generate for our buyers and sellers. And also, it's another good way to have talking points to go talk to your sphere as well, right? You say, oh yeah, I saw this great house.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, give me 1 second. So
Okay.
yeah, so like if you're talking to your sphere and just networking or just catching up with some from your sphere, they're going to ask you, oh, what have you been up to? What's new? And you can say, I'm in this real estate business, and the other day I saw a great house, in the Hollywood Hills, and it had this and that. It's showing you are showcasing that what you're doing and you're out there living the real estate life.
Right.
So
Okay.
gives you tools. Yeah, of course. Yeah, Brandon, what was your question?
My question was, for someone that's not like your friend or someone that you exactly know, if you're talking to someone and they say, a question that comes up a lot is, oh, how long have you been in real estate? How would you answer that if you kind of just started, or you've only been there a few months, or this is your first year?
Exactly the way you would answer it. You say that this is my first year in real estate. I've been learning so much, attending these classes, and I saw this great house. It's just, you're worried about that question because that's your insecurity right now because you're new. not many people are really necessarily thinking that when they're asking the question, right? So it's just a matter of answering the question, and then again talking about what it is you're up to. And honestly, excitement is really the best way to battle that insecurity. Just saying,
Oh, that's a good idea. Just sounded really excited. Yeah.
yeah, excited about your new career, and talk about why you decided to go into this, why you left your old career for this. It's all about it's all about storytelling, right?
Yeah, I guess you could add like where you come from. Like, for example, I come from a marketing and advertising background, so that could obviously help. So I could just add that in and say I'm really excited. And yeah, thanks for that.
Of course. Yeah. Just explain why. I was in marketing and advertising before, and I had always been in real estate. Whatever it may be, is your reason for coming into this industry. And so that you can communicate your excitement for it. That's a great way to address that question. All right. Okay. So lead generating for buyers and sellers is the first thing every day. If you don't lead generate, you don't have a business, right? Okay, so the next tool that we talk about quite a bit in Keller Williams is this 411 action goal worksheet. So this is a tool that you can find on kw.com. It's probably on command as well within the education portion. To be able to create your action goal worksheet. So it helps you track how many appointments, how many transactions. It's a tool for tracking your big rocks and ensuring that all of your activities tie back to your goal, tie back to your annual goal. So if you turn to page 7 in your participant guide, if you have that with you, there's a digital copy of, there should be a copy of that, but also within the folder that I think our office shared with you in the toolkit is a digital copy of the 411 as well. So you'll want to, in using the 411, you'll want to identify one of the 5 rectangles from the Envision Your Big Life activity to focus on for this activity. So while all the elements of your big life are important, you'll want to select one that's the most urgent or would make the other aspects of your vision easier. For example, paying off student loan debt. One little rock to move over and work on in order to make the other parts of your goals easier. So it's possible that your big life vision will involve professional and personal goals. So we're focusing on professional goals for this exercise, but of course your personal goals are equally important. So if you're able to identify personal aspects of achieving your goals, these should be added along the way. So what would it take to achieve this part of your big life? For example, how much do you need to make this year to survive? Plus how much extra is needed to pay off your student loans? This may be the annual goal that you put at the top of your 411. An example would be pay off 1/3 of my student loans in the next 12 months. That could be your annual goal. Right? And then you can look back at your get paid worksheet or within that command portal in order to look at your goals. It'll tell you, will doing the minimum goals get you materially closer to your goals? And if you need to do more, how much more can you do? Okay, so basically what you're trying to drill down to that command page will help you with is how many transactions do you need in order to meet your goals? How much do you need to survive? Then how much more do you want in order to help put towards some of your goals? So on average, to get 20 transactions, you'll need 40 appointments. How many appointments do you need a week to meet your monthly goal? This would be your item for weekly goals. Okay. So it would be easier if we were all in person, so we could do this. But, you're all working with Rob, right?
No, I haven't even been able to get in touch with him.
With Rob?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So he's not your mentor right now?
No, I feel like he's supposed to be, but I don't know what's going on with that.
Have you reached out to Cam? Maybe he can help you.
Yeah, I've reached out to him too. And like the only thing that Rob has ever said to me was that he sent me the email. And I've looked through all email boxes and he has not. And then I guess he was at that Keller Williams convention or whatever.
Mhm.
So I really haven't gotten in touch with him at all. So I don't even know what.
Okay. Okay. Well, let me. Carly, if
Hey,
you're
I'll
on
make sure to bring this up to Kim. You know, as soon as he's done with his meeting, I'll have a talk with him.
Thank you.
We'll get it figured out.
Yeah, because I'm not
Yeah,
sure
no
what's
problem.
going on with that situation.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you'll want to set goals that matter. It looks like Carly has added a couple of links for you guys too. Thank you, Carly, to make it easier for you to find this information. But a 411 is a great way, to get started. And one thing that really helped me when I was getting started was that I would just go to KW Connect. I think that's what it's called now. Sorry, they've changed the name so much over the years. But wherever that education portal is, and there's so many videos you can watch to figure out a lot of these things too. Like for example, there's a very in-depth video of the 411 and how to fill it out and how to think through it. So it's a good way to be able to go through it, pause while you fill it out, and then press play, and then have that guide for you too. All right. So as you build your skills and create business momentum, figuring out your weekly and monthly activities will become more specific and accurate. For one, you'll be able to better predict how many calls you'll need to make to get X number of appointments, which results in Y number of transactions. And once you get to this level, you can use the goal tracking features in Command as well to make sure that you're on track for your goals. All right. Okay, so don't lose focus. Remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing. This is a huge point to make because I think a lot of people, myself included, we get stuck in this pattern of just racing against the clock all the time and just doing one thing to the next. But it's important to take that step back whenever you feel like you're losing a little bit of control. Take that step back and remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing, just to recenter yourself and be able to energize yourself again, right? And make sure that you're still along the right path. It's easy to keep getting caught up in the actions and meeting this need and that need for each person. But, are the activities that you're doing getting you closer to your goals? So while I say that, I'll also mention that, sometimes what I see is people questioning things a little too much too. That's the opposite end of the spectrum of what you could do, and kind of having your one foot in, one foot out at all times. Going networking, for example, and just wondering like, what is this? What's the reason for all of this? Is this even going to get me closer to my goal? And then you're not really completely into it either. You have to give things a chance, right? You have to give them a chance to show you that you're making progress. All right, so here's the reality. The day-to-day life of successful agents is very repetitive. They know that their routine produces the results that they need to live the life they want. And often that's enough to make them love the grind. There are many of you in this room who, once you start seeing your work pay off, will love the grind. You'll enjoy honing your systems and skills to compete at the highest level. There are others of you who will never love the grind, and that's okay. And it doesn't mean you're doomed to fail. Even those of you who find you love it will have days when you need more of a push to motivate yourself. So, we want to give you something for those times. I'm going to ask you to do something that may seem silly at first, but is crucial. It's a crucial part of building careers worth having and businesses worth owning and lives worth living. So why don't we so we're going to go to this slide. So let's read this quote together. So I'll read it once and then we can read it together. Accountable people achieve results others can only dream of. Can you say it with me?
Accountable people achieve results others can only dream of.
Thank you. All right. A little bit of inspiration there. Right. So, goals without accountability are just wishes, right? We're more likely to do what we've said we're going to do if we know we must answer to someone, which is why coaches exist. I have a coach who keeps me accountable, and at least I know that I'm meeting with her every week, so I'm accountable to finish the homework at least that I was assigned the prior week, right? It keeps me moving forward. Everyone needs help. So, and then another trick that tends to help is, once you create your 411, once you build your plan, you'll also want to start calendaring that plan. So, I'm sure you guys have heard about time blocking before, right? Yeah. So with time blocking, it's really about creating the system in order to keep yourself accountable. So everything that I do, if it doesn't exist in my calendar, it doesn't happen. So I live by my Google Calendar. Everything that I'm doing goes in there. So for example, even building out a workout plan, it has to go in my calendar, otherwise it's not going to happen. When I go to bed, that's in my calendar. I know it sounds a little crazy, and of course it's not going to happen. It's not going to work out 100% of the time, but you are that much closer to be able to keep yourself accountable if it does live somewhere, right? So for example, I don't know if this is true for you guys, but when I'm very busy and stressed out about a day, I can often, even though it's the same amount of time in the day, I can achieve so much more in that crazy busy day than I would if I didn't have much going on for the day, right? And so when I'm particularly stressed out, one tool that I use is I look at my to-do list. I have my to-do list written out in a notebook, and then I go over to the box next to it and I just number everything in terms of priority, so that then I can take this and time block it within my calendar, my Google Calendar. And I found that, once I've allocated a certain amount of time for each thing, it holds me more accountable to finishing those tasks more quickly, because if I don't finish it within that time block, then it throws off the rest of my day. So, it's my weird way of being able to keep myself accountable to finishing the tasks that I know that I need to finish that day. I think we're pretty much done with what's in Ignite. I mean, we can just close up this part, but then we can talk about some other best practices and what you guys do in order to keep yourself accountable, and then I can share as well. We can kind of brainstorm together. So again, in recap, we're looking at the daily activities you want to focus on each day, right? So adding contacts to your database, adding 10 contacts to your database, having 10 conversations a day, writing 10 handwritten notes per day, and previewing 10 homes per week, again, to have something to talk about during your interactions with people. You'll want to practice your scripts so that you can internalize some of those scripts. You're not going to say it exactly the way that the scripts read, but if you practice them the way that the scripts read, then it's internalized and it comes out naturally while you're in your actual conversations. So just remember to have those script practice days time blocked into your calendar as well, the script practice sessions. And remember that there is a do not call list. All right, I think that's pretty much it for this section. Again, if anything from today, go into Command, explore what tools you have there. Connect is where all those videos live. If you watch one video per day and time block that into your calendar, I promise you, like it will help you. It will help you a lot because people have taken the time to put together these webinars. You can see what a listing presentation looks like. You can see what a buyer consultation looks like. You can see step by step how to fill out a 411. This is a very powerful tool that I leaned on very heavily when I first started. I would just watch one video per day so that I would start to understand the different pieces of real estate and be able to kind of connect the dots that way. Because otherwise it's hard to, experience a listing presentation, right? Unless someone invites you to go to one with them. But this is a way to kind of see what's behind the curtain as far as, how those actually look. And it gives you that confidence in going into your own presentations. Right? Fear of the unknown is usually what our issue is. So if we can make those unknowns known, then you'll feel more confident going into your appointments. Okay, so what tools do you guys use for goal setting and accountability right now?
A calendar. If I don't use a calendar, my life is very unorganized.
What kind of calendar?
Use an agenda. I have to write everything down. I can't use the Google one. I have to write every single thing down. And if I don't, it will never happen. So I'm very much like you in that sort of sense. I think right now my objective for myself is to kind of figure out which things I need to do weekly and then divide them into the days. It's kind of a lot of information when you're first starting and you don't even know where to start or what to do. But I kind of feel like right at this moment, my biggest things that I need to do are really go on the broker's caravan so that I have something to talk about on my social media and continue networking each day. And obviously, like attending the Ignite classes, you brought up a really good thing about the Connect videos. I wasn't watching those, so I'm going to start doing that each day. But I think my biggest thing is kind of showing the things that are coming up, the listings, talking about it. I haven't been doing that yet. So
that's a good point. It's true. A lot of things are getting thrown your guys' way. So you're not going to remember everything. But if you can, another trick that I picked up in the beginning of my career that I still do now is like every time I attend some kind of course, like whether it's this Ignite class or something through Lab Coats agents or through the office, I just pick one thing that I'm going to do from there. It's all this information that's good for like your knowledge to be exposed to at once, but what's one thing you can go explore further or implement into your business that will help? And it sounds like this Connect thing is a great thing. So
yeah, definitely.
There's one thing, like just go explore Connect. You'll feel more prepared, right? It's easy to get.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing is being prepared right now, because I mean, you have at least I have no idea. You learn all of these things, but still, I don't think you can really understand it until you do it.
Right. Exactly. And, I promise you, if you get an appointment, you're going to figure out what to do in that appointment, right? So just focus on that lead generation and getting that appointment first. And these Connect things are a good way to just help you have some exposure to what things look like in this business.
Right.
Yeah. Good. All right. So I've taught a class before that was like a tips and tricks thing for Steve keeps calling me. Tips and tricks in time management. And so I'll share a couple of those things before we log off. So the reason, So one tool or a couple tools that I use every day that maybe it'll help you is, besides my whole list making and prioritizing that, it goes into my Google Calendar, because within Google Calendar, you can set reminders, but you can also put the location for everything, right? So for me, like it's always about efficiency. So if there's the location listed on there, I can click on that location when I'm in the car and be able to just quickly get to wherever I need to get to, versus having to search my calendar or having to manually.
For appointments you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I hate being in the car looking for an address or having to manually type an address, because typos always happen, especially when typing with your thumbs. So for me, it's a lot easier to already have that pre-populated in the location and know, okay, I'm going to this address, and just click on the location, and then it brings up ways for me so I can be on my way. And it helps minimize mistakes with me manually typing in an address each time. Another thing that I do is, in order to be able to focus on one thing at a time with what I'm doing, I set alarms. So in the morning, after I review my calendar to see what's going on during that day, I set a bunch of alarms on my phone. I just ask Siri to set alarms, and then my alarm will go off, and that's my trigger for, okay, I need to go somewhere, or I'm supposed to do something. So I'll pull up my calendar to see what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. It's probably either leaving for an appointment or getting on a Zoom or calling someone, whatever it may be. So it triggers me to, okay, stop what you're doing. There's something else I'm supposed to be doing right now, so that I don't have to be within a task and wonder, oh, what time is it now? Oh, I got to leave in 5 minutes. And then I'm doing something like, oh no, 5 minutes have passed. It's 15 minutes later now because I got too engrossed in my task. And then I'm late. So it's one way to be able to kind of just focus your energy on what you're doing at that moment in time. So you're not constantly distracting yourself with, am I late, or should I be leaving right now? So that's another thing that helps as well. Did you have something to say, Brandon?
Oh no, I was just wondering, I guess in Google Calendar, it obviously reminds you like a certain time before, but I guess if it's something really important, you want to have like an alarm to like remind you.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, a lot of things become like white noise for me too. Like my computer goes off with alerts all the time because everything's in my calendar. So it doesn't necessarily trigger me to go look to see what it is, because I know that my brain has turned off that ability to pick up that alert. So that's why I now have an alarm. A lot of times I even like have blocked out my alarm, which is another terrible thing. But you have to understand what's going on in your consciousness and be able to adjust what needs to happen in order for you to be able to leave on time. Yeah. Unfortunately, it doesn't work anymore. Yeah, that's all I've got, you guys. But really, it's just, we have some extra time after the class right now. So if you can just, start exploring Connect and find that goal setting thing, those will help a lot in getting you started.
Awesome. Thank you so much, TIffany.
Of course.
Thanks, TIffany.
You're welcome, Brandon. Thanks, Carly, for your help. Have a good day.
Good day. Bye.
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 Great day. Bye.
Thanks. All right, bye.